By the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jay Kohn. Janelle Slade is off this evening. Bipartisan cooperation on Capitol Hill, could it lead to a healthcare solution for America? A bipartisan fix to the healthcare dilemma appears to be in the works tonight. Two senators, one Republican, one Democrat, say they may have found a way forward and are now trying to rally their respective sides. Mola Lengi reports from the White House.
On the Senate floor Tuesday, Republican Senator Lamar Alexander offered up a short-term plan to shore up Obamacare.
This agreement avoids chaos, and I don't know a Democrat or a Republican who benefits from chaos.
The plan would, for the next 2 years, restore subsidies to health insurance companies to help cover low-income Americans. President Trump announced just last week he would stop the payments. The bill would also allow states to offer a wider variety of health insurance plans. The Tennessee senator is crafting the bill with Democratic Senator Patty Murray of Washington.
We've been able to bridge the divide.
The plan appears to have broad support from Democrats, but among Republicans, it's a mixed bag.
We are subsidizing a broken individual market.
But Senator Susan Collins is pleased with the agreement. The Republican from Maine helped sink previous attempts to repeal and replace Obamacare.
Acting quickly is an urgent priority for me.
President Trump says he's been involved in the process, but he adds it's not a long-term answer to health care reform.
While I commend the bipartisan work done by Senators Alexander and Murray, and I do commend it, I continue to believe Congress must find a solution to the Obamacare mess instead of providing bailouts to insurance companies.
But late Tuesday afternoon, he tweeted, "Any increase in Obamacare premiums is the fault of the Democrats for giving us a product that never had a chance of working." Mola Lengi, CBS News, the White House.
And Senators Alexander and Murray say they hope to present their bill to Senate leaders by the end of this week. The ACLU of Montana says it will sue to block a proposed ballot initiative that would require people to use bathrooms and other facilities based on their sex at birth. That lawsuit filed in Cascade County District Court on behalf of 10 plaintiffs. Those plaintiffs include 7 transgender people, 2 parents of a transgender child, and the city of Missoula. The suit claims Initiative I-183 would violate transgender Montanans' rights to equal protection and privacy and put them at greater risk for harassment. Supporters of the initiative, though, are currently gathering signatures to qualify it for the ballot next November.
We need policies that support diversity and inclusion and encourage everyone to live happily and safely. This policy does just the opposite of that.
The ACLU asking the court to rule that I-183 is unconstitutional, and they're asking for an injunction to keep it off of the ballot. Montana's newest U.S. Senate candidate is off and running on his first official campaign tour of the state, Republican Russ Fagg of Billings. The hopeful spoke today with MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison.
Russ Fagg just stepped down from his 22-year job as state district judge in Billings and is now officially a Senate candidate in the crowded field of Republican hopefuls to challenge Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Tester next year. Before that, he used an exploratory committee to travel the state for several months and test the political waters. State Democrats have criticized him for using the committee to run a shadow campaign while remaining a judge, but Fagg says all the money he raised and spent with the committee will be disclosed. Fagg says the top issue for him is getting a handle on the federal deficit.
I would even go so far as to say it's immoral to pass that debt on to our children. All of the other issues like immigration and defense spending and health care are going to be secondary issues because we're going to have a catastrophe on our hands if we don't start talking about the budget deficit.
One of his chief opponents in the GOP primary will be State Auditor Matt Rosendale, who's been endorsed by a group supporting President Trump and is getting help from the National Party apparatus. Yet Fagg says he's getting advice from national GOP outlets as well, and that he'll be emphasizing his Montana roots.
So I'm not really going to talk about Matt Rosendale other than there are some differences between us. Obviously, the fact that I'm a 4th generation is one of those. The fact that I was a judge was one of those. So those are the things I'm going to talk about.
Of course, for Fagg and other Republicans, the real target is Senator Tester.
I don't feel like we're going in the right direction, and I think Senator Tester is a big part of that. I just don't think he's voting Montana values. He's really voting the Democratic line, contrary to hardworking Montanans, the middle class, the senior citizens.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Russ Fagg is one of 6 Republicans now vying for the GOP Senate nomination to take on Senator Tester in 2018. Although the Northern Cheyenne Tribal Council is trying to push out its president, Jace Kilsback is not stepping down quietly. President Kilsback just elected last November, and now for some unidentified reason, the Tribal Council wants him removed. In a statement from the tribe's media office today, Vice President Conrad Fisher is identified as the interim president. But Kilsback contends he's still the president and claims he's being targeted because he uncovered fraud within tribal government. Kilsback telling Q2 that an investigation revealed the tribe's treasurer was involved in a payroll advance scheme, and now the treasurer's brother wants Kilsback out. Now, the tribe did produce a letter of support from the Bureau of Indian Affairs today, stating its decision to oust Kilsback is legal, but Kilsback's attorney points to the tribal court's October 5th ruling that says the petition to remove Kilsback is insufficient. Then the very next day, October 6th, the council moved forward with a removal hearing anyway. The tribe's media office declined to provide us a reason today for removing Kilsback, a spokesperson telling us only that someone filed a complaint against Kilsback and that he did not attend a hearing on the matter. Kilsback's attorney, meanwhile, is asking for the BIA to retract its letter and allow the tribe to work out the matter. And now we turn our attention to the weather scene, where strong gusty winds knocking out power across much of western Montana. Bob McGuire here to tell us more about it, Bob.
Yeah, that's a story from the Flathead Electric Co-op, and let me show you what it looked like today. Yeah, we had all sorts of problems. Power outages across much of northwestern and west central Montana tonight. As you can see, the lights are out there. According to Flathead Electric Co-op, they had over 10,000 customers without power. A lot of trees down in that area as well. Ravalli County reporting over 3,000 customers without power tonight, all because of the high gusty winds. We still have a wind advisory for west central Montana for 50-mile-per-hour winds until midnight. And then we still have this. Look at that. That is the high wind warning that stays in effect until midnight for 75-mile-per-hour winds across the front range of the Rockies. Very breezy conditions in that area. Here a little closer to home, we still have a red flag warning for Wheatland and also Sweetgrass County, looking for high winds causing some problems and very low humidities. Fires could get started in that area as well very rapidly. Our forecast shows for warmer conditions another couple of days, but we will cool down tonight. We'll chat about that in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob. Thanks to some business-savvy middle school students, 2 principals will spend the night on the roof. At Castlerock Middle School, a successful fundraiser led to tonight's deal. Principal O'Shane Moran and Associate Principal Colby Fitzgerald agreed to spend the night on the school's roof if students could raise roughly $15,000 for 90 new Chromebook laptops. Well, the sale of City Brew Coffee surpassed that goal, and now the principals are set up for a night of camping.
Right now we're operating on 7 carts, and we have almost 41 classrooms, so there's a lot of teachers that are competing for just 8 carts. So now we're able to put in 2 more carts, and now all of our resource rooms have 10 additional Chromebooks in each room as well.
We're just super proud of our kids, and they put a lot of time and dedication, and we're super proud. And one night on the roof for all the work that they did, I don't know if we're even scratching the surface of what they put in, so we're excited to do it.
We'll see how excited they are come morning. Both plan to be broadcasting on Facebook throughout the night. You can find that link connected to this story right now at ktvq.com. Well, still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, Montana Spirits made here in Billings now making a splash across the region. We'll show you how in a moment. Plus, the NFL and the Players Union look to tackle the national anthem controversy. And a bit later in local sports, the Skyview Gym crawling in pink to score big tonight in the fight against breast cancer.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Kohn and Janelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.